On September 7th, 2011, the user IamChris27 posted a challenge on the minecraftforum.net called the City Construction Challenge. They wrote about how they were browsing the forums in an attempt to find some challenges to try out and couldn't seem to find many. And the ones that they could find had a similar theme. I then came across the 10,000 BN challenge and was refreshed by its originality, though it was slightly lacking boundaries and goals. It gave me inspiration to come up with my own challenge in an attempt to improve on the Link challenge and incorporate my own ideas too. It is an attempt to be a quite realistic challenge. The thread was unfortunately deleted and can only be viewed via an archive link. The only reason I was able to find it is because I had it bookmarked for so long. But on September 21st, 2019, an account with the same name created a new post titled The City Construction Challenge. In the post, they explained that due to GDPR laws in Europe that came into effect last year, and my failure to allow MCF to store my data, my original account, along with the thread for this challenge, was deleted. 116 pages of updates, conversations, albums, and stories only viewable by jumping from one archive to another. They continue. I have decided to bring it back to life from an archived web file because of the popularity it had. Over 450,000 views and 2,300 plus posts made by players sharing their progress. I'm still hugely appreciative of all the people who took the time to try the challenge and share their feedback since 2011. And as a lasting thanks, here's the thread for you to enjoy all over again, or for the first time. They even posted an update to the challenge, version 2.0.0. A new beginning. The challenge has been brought back in part, i.e. normal difficulty from the normal mode, renamed to nostalgia mode. This is to allow for some changes I have in mind for the future, if there is still interest. If you wish to play using any of the other difficulties, please refer to the archive link at the bottom of the thread. Nothing else is added. Now the goal of this channel is to capture and archive special moments. But the real special part is sharing those moments. IamChris27 not only wanted to share their challenge, but to see the progress that people made. I remember reading this post on the bus ride home, excited to try it out on a friend's server. I remember the update to normal mode and starting a new world for it, and how the change in biomes affected what the different kingdoms ended up looking like. We don't just want to complete this challenge, but to continue on sharing their vision. So without further ado, here's IamChris27's City Construction Challenge. This challenge has two different modes, classic and normal. The main difference between the two being an implementation of a difficulty slider into the normal mode. This allows the challenge to be played with requirements deemed normal, hard, or insane, with accompanying lore for each difficulty. The rich king of the wastelands ruled tyrannically over the people with an iron fist, taxing the citizens more than they could dream to afford, and threatening to slaughter them if they came up a penny short. He starved his people so that he could hold feasts for himself and his fat lords, caring little for the poor villagers who feed his endless stomach. The people have grown fed up with grueling work in a place with no hope or future in sight. You must flee this barren hell with whoever has the courage to leave, and find a way to live for yourself. You have been traveling for months, escaping from the old world filled with corruption and injustice, in search of a new paradise, where you can start afresh and create your own kingdom. You will become a ruler among those you brought with you. But can you cope with the pressure and survive in the wild? Notch has surely blessed us all. We have stumbled upon a new land, far away from the wastelands of the Mad King. The grass here is greener, and wildlife roams freely in the lush meadows. The land is very fertile, and could easily support your new settlement. You have finally escaped the wrath of the king. Now, all you must do is stay alive. Perhaps you can finally start a new life that is so much more successful than before. Your travels have not gone entirely as you expected. You had been too generous with rations at the start of the journey, so you have not distanced yourself from the old world as far as you had hoped. Thankfully, the area you have arrived at is fair. It is better than the old world, if nothing else. And crops can probably grow here, but the yield will be small, unless you make the necessary countermeasures. The tall grass found naturally yields no seeds suitable for farming. A prosperous life is certainly achievable, but will be difficult to obtain. Notch has forsaken you. You had placed your trust in his guidance, and he has ignored it. You must have been bribed by the Mad King. The food you had once starved yourself to collect for the journey has spoiled, and most of it is no longer edible. After many weeks of traveling, your followers have grown weary. They can no longer walk, and stand no chance of making it beyond the rough mountains, even if you could feed them. There is no choice but to make camp and settle on these wretched lands, not much better than the wastelands you have traveled from. The tall grass found naturally yields few seeds suitable for farming, and the climate is far too cold for melons to grow indoors. Bread made from the wheat is worse than the food you used to eat in the wastelands, but it is somewhat edible. Fortunately, you are just outside the king's domain, and his troops will be unable to pass the rough terrains. But surely, the king will bribe Notch to unleash vicious monsters upon you by night. Be wary. Your challenge is to create a city, progressing through the stages one by one, reaching the next stage once all the requirements are met. During the challenge, there are some guidelines that should be followed for the best playing experience. Some should be followed throughout the challenge, whereas others only apply to certain stages. There are some basic rules we have to get to before we delve actually into the playthrough. There will be links to the original forum post via an archive link, as well as the updated forum post link. Along with these two links will be the rules spreadsheet we created to actually complete this challenge. This spreadsheet separates the stages out and helps with not thinking too far ahead. A big benefit to attempting this challenge is the chance to appreciate Minecraft at a slower pace. We're approaching this challenge at the insane difficulty, and it's only fitting that we do this challenge in hardcore as well. In addition to this, before the transition to each stage, we believe it's important to fill the growing kingdom with life. To do that, we will incorporate a number of villagers to fill in the buildings that we create. Along with this, a story will evolve from the adventures and challenges that come with each stage. You must be wearing a helmet of some kind before going underground to protect your head. Any kind of helmet is acceptable, but you must leave the mine if your helmet breaks and you do not have a spare to equip. You may only go to the depth of y=40 with a leather helmet. If you go beyond the depth allowed by your helmet, you must rise to a suitable depth immediately and not mine and not collect any blocks on the way up. Mine shafts must be at least 3x3 areas, except in naturally generated caves, and have support beams at least every 10 blocks, wooden pillars or otherwise. Any NPC constructs do not count towards requirements, but you may use anything you find. For example, if you find a smelter, you can use it. However, if you are still in stage 1, you cannot craft more smelters. The building requirements will be in different districts or towns. The requirements must be built in, but are not limited to the specified district. If you find a bucket, you may use it regardless of the stage you are in. Raw food and zombie flesh does not count towards item requirements, but may still be eaten. Melons must be grown indoors.
We offer different formats for our playthroughs. Whether you prefer shorts or episodic updates or long plays, we hope you find something you like.